What's up, GameLeapers? It's the Jizz, and 12.1 has hit the Rift, and there are already some champions flying under the radar in terms of being broken, but not played anywhere near enough as they should be. So in today's video, the Jizz is going to break down the 15 most low-key broken champions for this patch, and you will also get the runes and builds to go with them. Now for more Season 12 content, like the video, and let's start off with number 15 on this countdown. This is Riven, and you might be like, why on earth is Riven on a low-key broken champions video? Well, ever since the Gore Drinker nerf, Riven really hasn't been on the same level she was halfway through Season 11, but thanks to the Conqueror buff a couple of patches ago where the stacking is now lasting 5 seconds, Riven has really been back on the map. And what's also nice for Riven in 12.1 is the teleport change. This means that you can go Ignite instead of teleport to win your lane even harder. And as far as your runes go for your secondary tree, I know lots of people might take the Resolve tree, but taking Transcendence for the ability haste, because that is probably, along with your attack damage, the most important stat for Riven, and also Gathering Storm to give you the scaling you need, so when you hit your Gore Drinker and then Ghostblade Spike, you are going to be extremely strong. But beating Riven to number 14 on this countdown, this is Tristana, the first of the 80 carries on this list, and for Tristana it's a little annoying at the moment for sure because of the lethal tempo meta. Jumping onto champions like Jinx and Caitlyn, it can be quite difficult, but here's the thing, in lower elos Tristana can dominate the bot lane because people don't really know how to space and kite, so lots of these ranged champions aren't going to use their range advantage and they will get in range of your rocket jump. And even if you don't have the best laning phase, Tristana scales incredibly well, and also at level 18 has the highest attack range in the game. So even if you don't crush lane like maybe you're meant to, you can always fall back on that amazing scaling of yours. And thanks to the shield bow nerf this patch, any 80 carry who goes shield bow is therefore weaker, and thankfully because Tristana you can go Kraken Slayer or even Gale Force into some matchups, Tristana's value in turn increases. Now just ahead of Tristana coming in at number 13, we have one of the most consistent mid laners, and this is Lissandra. And just like how I recommended for Riven to run Ignite, because of the teleport change you are running Ignite on Lissandra in the mid lane as well. And one of the main reasons Lissandra is on this countdown is because she's played nowhere near enough despite being one of the best Everfrost abusers in the game. Now in the mid lane she might have some hard matchups into ranged champions, but to be honest most people in solo queue are going to pick champions who get close to you. So if we're talking Yone, Yasuo, Zed, Fizz, these champions Lissandra cucks them super hard because you want champions to be close to you so you can land your Q and your W and of course your ultimate. And thankfully because Everfrost is still going to be 2800 gold, Lissandra has to come in on this countdown. But beating Lister number 12, we're going back to the bot lane and talking about Rakan, who is one of the most reliable champions on the Rift. And there isn't really much changing for Rakan this patch. In terms of items, runes, everything is really staying the same, but it's very important when you do play Rakan, you focus on building Shirelli's battle song for the ability haste. This means that your grand entrance, which is what you max first, and then your the quickness, they're going to be on lower cooldowns so you can use these more often, and these are some of the biggest impact abilities on the Rift. And because the meta at the moment in the bot lane is very range based, so in terms of lethal tempo, we've got Caitlyn, we've got Jinx being played a lot. Rakan, because of his mobility, can access these champions, knock them up, and CC them so his team can come in and wipe the floor with them. But if we head back to the mid lane for number 11 on this countdown, we're going to talk about Fizz, who is continuing to be a very underrated pick. With Luden's Tempest and Sork Shoes and then Lichbane, even though Lichbane might not be the best item at the moment, it's just the fact that it's the perfect item for Fizz because it works with his W, and auto attacking is an important part of your damage. But the magic penetration with Luden's and then Sork Shoes, anyone on the map is in danger of getting one shot. Now it is a little annoying that lots of mid laners can go Everfrost and they can lock you down and kind of stop you from doing what you want to do, but your E is a great tool to avoid this and deal damage at the same time. And let's be honest, in solo queue, Fizz is just one of the most annoying champs to face because of his high damage and his slipperiness as well. He's just one of those really annoying mid laners to play against. Now starting off the top 10, we're going to head back to the bot lane here and talk about one of the most underrated supports in 12.1, and this is Zilean. Now as far as your rune page goes, we're taking Airy instead of Guardian because of the poke this gives you during the lane, and also Cheap Shot and then Relentless Hunter. Remember on Zilean, one of your big weapons is actually just your ability to move around the map and impact the game rather than just solely in the bot lane. You can roam to mid and ult your teammate, you can put a bomb on your top laner's head when they're diving. There's a lot of versatility here, so this movement speed is going to allow you to make more plays. This is also why, just like Rakan, we're taking Shirelli's battle song because of the ability haste and also the movement speed via the active, so you can either escape those team fights or close the gap to the enemy champions who are running away so you can clean house. But let's say you want to play a champion with maybe more carry potential than a Zilean support. Well, let's head to the top lane here, and coming in at number 9 we have Quinn. And Quinn, despite being one of the lowest picked champions in the game, to be honest for so long now has had one of the highest win rate. And to be honest, thanks to those lethal tempo buffs for melee champions and even the Conqueror buff, so the stacking going back to 5 seconds, for Quinn in the top lane because you dumpster these champions, because they can never really get onto you because of your innate range and then your E ADs, so your Volt, it's impossible for them to stick to you, and it's just a free win into melee champions. But there are a couple of big deals for Quinn in 12.1 because Shield Bow has been nerfed and also Wit's End. Now the Wit's End nerf, to be honest, really isn't that bad, and neither is the Shield Bow nerf. Even though the AD is going down and the actual shield itself is going to be smaller, here's the thing, you're still getting the bonus attack damage when the shield procs, which is one of the big reasons this item is still so OP, because once you do actually activate the shield, you get a lot of bonus AD and you'll be hitting just as hard as someone with Kraken Slayer or Gale Force. So even though these items have been nerfed, it's just the fact that Quinn's kit, there is very little counterplay in the top lane, so she has to be on this countdown. But beating Quinn to number 8, we're going back to the bot lane here. How many supports do we have? And this is Rel. And for Rel at the moment with Glacial Augment, you can see this win rate 57%. It is one of the highest we have at the moment in 12.1. Now why is Rel so good? Because the AD carries at the moment, if we think about them, love those peelers. So Lulu, Soraka, Sona, and the AD carries, namely Vayne, Caitlyn, Jinx, they're getting played a lot. But here's the thing guys, those AD carries are very susceptible to hard engage. You get on them once, they're going to die. So Rel with her Ferromancy and then Attract and Repel and Magnet Storm, you are going to lock that enemy AD carry down, and their lack of mobility, maybe unless they're playing Vayne, but still they're going to be locked down for an extended period of time. You and your teammates come in and clean up. This is why Rel is having such a big impact on Glacial, because the Rays will hopefully show the rest of their teammates they cannot get there to save their core teammate. Now coming in at number 7, we're going to head to the top lane and talk about Ornn. Now for Ornn, this patch, Force of Nature is getting a very nice buff. So the stacking is lasting 7 seconds and the magic resist is going up 5%. So if you're against AP DPSs, maybe like Teemo, Cassiopeia, Kayle, Ornn is going to be a great pick. But here's the thing about Ornn as well guys, even though TP has been nerfed for the first 14 minutes, so maybe you're not going to make as many plays around the map, which is really what you're picking Ornn for. He's still a very good laner, and actually getting to 14 minutes without being behind is very doable. And even if you are behind, because your scaling is so good, you are always going to have your foot in a game. And that's not only for yourself, because you can empower your teammates by buffing their items. Even if your teammates are losing lanes, you are there to save the day. He's also very underrated in lane because the actual damage output he can do as a tank, once he gets to Barmy Cinder, Sunfire Aegis, Bramble Vest, whatever it is you build against most of these attack damage top laners, Ornn is certainly a champion you have to know how to deal with because he can win lane pretty hard. But ahead of Ornn coming in at number 6, we have one of those champions who loves the new Archangel staff. So because it's costing 2600 gold and now working off ability haze, for a champion like Ziggs in the bot lane in particular, spamming those spells with Liandry Anguish's ability haze mythic passive, it's too juicy not to pick. And because lots of these AD carries at the moment, Caitlyn, Jinx, Aphelios, the lethal tempo abusers, they're pretty immobile. So for Ziggs throwing his bombs out, they're probably going to hit with a lot of regularity. So if you want a bit of fun in 12.1, Ziggs is certainly one of the champs you should consider picking up. Now starting off the top 5 of this countdown, and by the way, if any of you want to master any of these champions on this countdown, make sure you check out the GameLeap website linked in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches upload up to 20 videos a week for our subscribers, so get that exclusive access by signing up. And coming in at number 5, we have one of the most devastating champions in lower elos and even in higher elos at the moment. Fiddlesticks has a crazy high win rate, and thankfully because of the Scuttle Crab change at the start of the preseason, so it's 80% reduced in terms of its experience. For Fiddlesticks who loves to full clear and kind of avoid the enemy jungler because you just want to get your Crow Storm, so level 6, free of charge, this is a really nice change. And just because magic resist items suck and lots of people, particularly in lower elo, don't know how to ward and they probably don't even know they've got a Fiddlesticks on the enemy team, they are going to get caught out. Now as far as your runes go, it's very important to take Ultimate Hunter and then perfect timing in your inspiration tree, because we will be building this into a Zhonya's Hourglass. So if you know you're going to have a free scaling game guys, Fiddlesticks for sure is one of the best junglers to play. But beating Fiddle to number 4 on the countdown is a champion like Ziggs, who is currently loving the Archangel staff because it's 2600 gold and working off ability haze. So for Orianna in the mid lane, this has really changed how well she's doing. You can see that her win rates are very high as a result, and even some people are starting tier on her, so they stack this earlier. Now why is the ability haze good on Orianna? You would probably think the AP would be better. Well, you're kind of right, but as Orianna, you're picking her really for those team fights. Yes, she's very good in lane, especially against short range champions, but getting more command protects off and attacks and dissonances, and even having your shockwave on a lower cooldown gives you a bit more pressure. And what's also interesting is for these Orianna players to run Ignite as their summoner spell. This makes them even more of a lane bully because their kill threat goes up, so any champion you're against really has to have their wits about them. But beating Orianna to number 3, we have another champion who is currently abusing the Archangel staff buff, and this is Cassiopeia. Now whether you're playing Cass in the mid lane or in the top lane, with the new Conqueror because it's lasting 5 seconds, super easy to stack, and this is reflected in Cass's insane win rate. Now of course, as your mythic item, we're going Liandry's Anguish because of the tick damage that synergizes with your poison and also just lets you shred tanky enemies. You you don't need more damage than you already have to kill squishy champions, so Liandry's just gives you everything you need to kill any type of champion on the Rift, and then Archangel Staff, which is giving you the ability haste and all the mana you need. It's a very deadly combination, and just like Orianna, taking Ignite instead of Teleport is definitely the way to go at the moment. But beating Cassiopeia to number 2 in this countdown is actually one of the champions who has been buffed this patch. So for Diana, her AP ratio and her passive has gone up, and also the damage to monsters has increased too. So in the jungle, you can see that her win rate with this rune page is now 55%. And when we're getting Hextech Rocket Belt and Sork Shoes and then Shadow Flame, this is a very scary setup to play against because the damage output you have. And even though you might be a little bit exploitable in the first 2 to 3 levels, full clearing is one of the most popular clears. And a bit like Fiddlesticks, once you get to level 6, you have all the power in the world to take off and carry a game. So thanks to the buffs, your clear is going to be quicker, so you can get to level 6 quicker as well. But the number 1 underrated champion, guys, for 12.1, and you guys are probably going to flame me because this champion doesn't have the best win rate still, but I'm telling you guys, Gangplank is the most low-key broken champion, and one of the main reasons is because of the teleport change. So even though you'll still be running teleport, because you love being on an island in the top lane, using your ultimate to influence the map, so the fact you still have a global influence despite teleport not really being that great for the first 14 minutes for like 99% of other champions, this is a huge plus. And also the buffs to GP that came in for 12.1. So the Q cooldown going down by half a second and the mana cost going down as well makes this even more spammable. And GP as a result of this will be even more of a lane bully. And it's interesting here too, even though you can still run TP because maybe you're going to get dived and targeted in the top lane, but in matchups where you know you have kill pressure, taking Ignite you can see is actually a very wise decision. This is going to give you more power in the 1v1. And as far as your mythic and core items go, going this Prowler's Claw build with the lethality so you can one-shot squishies with your kegs in the late game, it is a super fun build to go and is obviously reaping the rewards at the moment. So GP is the number 1 underrated champion, guys, for 12.1. Let us know down below if you did enjoy the video, and in the comment section if you think any of these champions should have not been included on the countdown. Let us know, and until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Jizz.